And again, welcome. We're just given one more minute before we do council member vote. And we'll get started with a pretty robust agenda today, especially since we haven't seen each other since October. Is that correct? Or September?
In late September. And I
Okay.
think a lot of folks showed up to the ADPC, the comprehensive plan approval meeting. So some of you we saw in October as well.
Okay. Well, I think let's go ahead, if that sounds good with you, Wes.
Yeah.
My name is Debbie Jones. I'm the prevention coordinator for Wasco County and have the privilege of serving as your chair for our ADPC Primary Prevention Committee. I do want to uh, read I got to find this. Wes has this all set for me. Definition. Our ADPC Prevention Committee's definition of primary universal prevention is practice, programs, and policies designed to prevent and reduce the incidence and prevalence of alcohol and other drug use and consequent health, behavioral health, and social problems. And with that, I would like, Wes, can we go ahead and do roll call?
Yes, we can. Caroline Cruz, I saw you. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Let me see. Let's go. Debbie,
Here,
Pam,
here.
Frankie is excused. Lindy,
Present.
Shauna,
Here.
Alexis,
Here.
Amy Z,
Here.
Zeb. Okay.
Zeb is coming in from the waiting room right now.
Okay. Amy M is excused. Luis,
Here.
Dr. Beth,
Here.
and Darren.
Here.
Darren's here. Okay, great. We have quorum, and we have some membership updates that I will do towards the end of this director's update.
Great. Okay. Again, thank you, everybody, for your commitment. And I really feel great about the participation we have and welcome all of those. Oh, we got Zeb there. Awesome. Thanks, Zeb. Who are very important guests that come and participate in this meeting. Just a real quick dive in. I know Wes does a great job of getting out our materials early, but we'll start off with a director's update that Director Dolph and Wes will provide for us. We'll go in briefly to talk about organizational housekeeping, such as our charter, agenda trajectory, and formulation of questions regarding the very thorough report that was sent out with our attachments from Third Horizon on the Center of Excellence, and then we'll leave the last 5-10 minutes for public comment. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Director Annalise Dolph and Wes Rivers.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see everybody. Annalise, I think I know all of you, but Annalise Dolph, pronouns are she, her. I'm the director for the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission. I have seen, I dare say, most of you since you have last met, but am level setting with all the committees just to catch everybody up on all the work that we have been doing since you all took a couple months off. We are fully launching into the plan that you all worked so hard on since we saw you last. The commission approved it. We did our statewide roadshow where we saw many of you presented at a number of conferences. In addition, We took that final product and prioritized the work for the first 2 years based on feasibility and impact. And you all are going to see a full work plan next month. We need a little bit more time to continue getting that finalized. We have a very, very detailed smart sheet. The governor herself has reviewed the work plan for the first 2 years and approved it. And is already helping us move forward some of those pieces with the state agencies. We met with the state agencies maybe twice actually since this group met, because the state agency group met in October and then we met again this month in January. So it's been a very busy time in terms of the comprehensive plan. The website has been updated. Stephanie did so much incredible work over the holidays to get that updated. We'll drop that link in the chat to make sure you all see it. The dashboards are now translated onto your page of the website. So the prevention page now has the strategies, the priorities, the activities that we are working on, and we are working to keep integrating and updating data related to each of the areas of the continuum of care on their respective sites. So I am continuing to reiterate to folks, the comprehensive plan is a tool for us to implement strategies across state agencies. It is not a report. And I think the website really shows that. So we're pretty excited. Check that out. Next month, you'll really dive into the work plans. You have a bunch this month. My other two quick updates for the group, and then I think Wes is going to take over to give an update on 3321. The settlement board, I try to kind of inform everybody. Settlement board happenings, many of you who cross over into the Measure 110 Behavioral Health Resource Network space probably know already that because of declining cannabis revenue, I wish I could say it's because of prevention efforts and less people are using cannabis, but it's really more about pricing and other market factors. But because cannabis revenue has been decreasing, there is a pretty hefty 1-year cut to the burn grantee funding. And so the settlement board spent our in-person meeting in January, in which we were really hoping to kind of dream for the future and decide where we're going from here. We spent our time talking about how we could help out with that gap. And so the settlement board allocated $13 million to the burn grantees to help close that gap. So it's not as big of a cut. There's going to be some follow-up information both at the next settlement board meeting, which is next Wednesday already, and the next commission meeting about that. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure to kind of check out deep dives over there. One question I will note for this group that I've gotten a little bit, I think my co-chair, Carrie Bergiotti, has gotten the question a lot more. Just like, what does that mean for the settlement board allocating across the continuum of care? The settlement board did not allocate all of its funding for the biennium to help close this gap. Probably in large part, I think the direction they're leaning in is to really continue the commitment to invest across the continuum of care. I just want to give a shout out to all the settlement board members. It is a very conscientious group that takes their job as stewards of this funding very, very seriously. Caroline Cruz reached out with some public comment that was really effective. Zeb usually serves on that group. Zeb couldn't be there and we missed him in that conversation. So just wanted to let folks know that it doesn't signal kind of any intent about funding across the continuum of care. I think prevention folks have been a little worried about that. So that's my settlement board update. And then really the final update will segue into Wes's update about House Bill 3321. You all will remember as part of the comprehensive plan that we have this, what we're calling infrastructure bucket. That's really about kind of high level, how we put a structure in place to help improve the substance use disorder system across the areas of the continuum of care. We are prioritizing at the direction of the governor's office, doing a financial assessment across agencies. You might remember back a year ago when we started this process, we presented you with a bunch of foundational information that included an analysis that a contractor did for 21-23 to look at SUD spending across state agency. We're going to give that a try in-house this time. So wish us luck. I think we're learning from last time. And so we're getting started on that. And as part of that, we've really kind of made it clear that that's very high level. It relates to, but is nowhere near as detailed what's going to happen with House Bill 3321 with prevention. So I think everybody's kind of excited to see where 3321 goes because it might inform how we start to look a little deeper across the whole continuum of care. And finally, I want to say the other thing, I forgot this. We have a bunch of new members on the commission. We welcomed 6 new members at the end of 2025, and we actually, I think, have 3 of them here. So Tim Lynch joined us as a local public health director. Maris Alden joined us as a health insurer representative, and Sharon Dursey Martin is filling the school role. If I missed anybody, raise your hand. But you will probably see kind of new members floating around amongst the committees for the first couple of months as they decide where they would like to land out here in committee space. So please welcome them. Thank you guys for being here. We're very excited to see you and have you in this committee. Happy to take any questions, but I know that was a lot.
Thank you, Annalise. Wes, are we ready to move forward on organizational housekeeping?
I have 3 things. The first is legislative tracking that we will be doing over the course of session. So I am putting the bill numbers of the bills that we at ADPC will be tracking closely over the course of the next couple of months. The legislative session starts on February 1st. Senate Bill 1548. For those of you who served on the Regulatory Substances Committee, a lot of the cannabis concepts will be familiar to you. Senator Reynolds is putting a package together or has a package together that will deal with packaging, single serving packaging, and some other restrictions. You'll see when that bill is published, but I just wanted to put that number out so you can be looking for it. House Bill 4139. Rep Wallen also has a cannabis omnibus package to take a look at. HB 4146. So cocktails in a can available in grocery stores. Something to be really paying attention to for this group in terms of not only OLCC's kind of structure with respect to the controlled sale of distilled spirits, but also impacts on revenue. So please take a look at that. And then finally, HB 4083, which are the first part of the recommendations of the Governor's Behavioral Health Workforce Talent Council. That's not going to have a lot right now up front to do with prevention, but as we go on, there will be some parts that might be interesting to say the least with respect to the certified prevention specialist. And I know that's in particular a thought about this group. Pause on legislation. Does anybody have any questions? I just want to remind folks as it goes with respect to legislation, as an executive functioning branch, as a body, we do not support or take a stance unless that is a stance of the governor's office. However, we do keep you informed about the legislation that pertains to the committee so that you all may organize on however you would like to outside of this committee meeting. So I just wanted to, for folks who are new to this process, I just wanted to make sure that they had an understanding of our role. Just keep you informed.
Thank you, Wes.
The next update I have is with respect to membership. So we're doing a couple things. We have a little bit of organizational movement, both at the ADPC level with respect to the commission and our commissioners who represent on this committee, but as well as within organizations who are represented here at the committee level. So the two notable ones is that Jessica Jax will now be representing Deschutes County as our committee member representing Deschutes County for the purposes of this group. The second person, and Martin's here, Martin Lockett, who's worked, if you've attended any of our Oregon Youth Addiction Alliance meetings, Martin will be replacing Dwight as representing Lines for Life. Martin will have the dual role of also being the bridge between the prevention work and our Oregon Youth Addiction Alliance. So a role that was fulfilled by Tony in the past. However, due to time commitments and Tony needing to chair another committee, we're relieving him of a little bit of pressure and having Martin kind of step into that role. So Martin, if you want to introduce yourself, I would love that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Martin Lockett, Director of Equity and Cultural Engagement at Lines for Life. I've been with Lines for Life for a little over 4 years now, and I've been in this role for a little over 2 years now. We primarily do work in BIPOC communities as well as carceral settings, and primarily the Portland metro area, doing workshops and trainings around mental health, substance abuse, and suicide prevention. So, happy to be in this space and looking forward to contribute in any meaningful way that I can. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Martin. Our charter does not require any approval, so these are appointments based on leadership in the committee. So, and also we're just switching when we add new members. We're going to have to add more commissioners to this group. We're still down, we're short. So we will be talking about that, like informally inviting people over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Okay, well, with that, I'd just like to take a quick second um, to recognize Dwight Holton, who has been a champion in this work for decades. And you can't replace Dwight, but we also wanted to be, he's such a busy guy doing so much within recovery, prevention, all of those. We wanted to work with him, I think, a little bit on his schedule and make sure that that representation was here. But Dwight, you are not replaceable. And I know you've got people that are on the Lines for Life. I recognize some faces, so it's great to have you here too. But I just think it's important not to let that go unsaid. You are welcome. Please pop in at all times, any times. We really appreciate everything you have done and continue to do for elevating prevention. So I don't think we're saying goodbye. We're saying, hey, do everything you can within your role, your continued roles to keep elevating that passion.
Yeah, I would extend that to Jess Nyworth as well. Thank you
Oh,
both
yes, yes,
thank
yes.
you both for your service. And welcome Martin and Jessica Jax. Jessica will be here later. We're so excited to have you. So we really just appreciate all the work that's gone in from every committee member. We realize as time goes on, people need to flex time and make sure that they have the ability to inform the entire commission. So we really appreciate everybody's service here and appreciate folks being willing to support us going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Wes, for catching my yes. I don't think Jess is here, but Jess Nyworth, as we got kind of reestablished again, played a key role. So we appreciate Deschutes County seeing that need and helping us. I think you guys will all really appreciate the other Jessica. So we're in good hands.
Um, Last bit is House Bill 3321, and this will kind of move us into our next agenda topic too, Debbie. So I'll just seamlessly transition if that's okay with you. So we are going to, we're in the process. We've hired Third Horizon Strategies, who helped us in the development of the comprehensive plan to implement House Bill 3321. And for those of you who need just a small refresher about what we're doing with respect to House Bill 3321, that is the definition of primary prevention in the state. It also includes a financial analysis and program inventory of services and programs that are explicitly supporting those definitions within the statute. That work has begun. There have been some key informant interviews already with some discovery that's happening that will continue through the next couple of months. Third Horizon will then begin a process of collecting data from local communities and from the state and everywhere in between, all the way through July. July to August time, there will be a synthesis that happens with all of that information. You all will be part of that synthesis, and I'll get into that in just a second of what that looks like, with the hope of having something to deliver to the legislature by the end of September. That is an extremely tight timeline given the complexity of the primary prevention system in Oregon. We're building in a little bit of shared understanding and shared communication with our contractor and our leadership of this committee to make sure that if we get off track of it all, we can directly communicate to the legislature. Maybe we need a little bit more time, or maybe we need to push this contract out a little bit more. So it does feel fast and furious, but I think with the help of this committee, with the help of your connections as they go out and start to ask people questions and start to get a better understanding of what is out there, we will be able to kind of fill some of that space and make it as efficient as possible. So that said, this is how we are thinking about the next year, and how we're going to sequence the meetings. Third Horizon will be here every other month. Well, they'll be here every month, but they'll formally present to you every other month for part of the meeting, talking about what they're finding and asking for direction from this group. And so next month, February will be their first report out. They will also have a report out specific to the Center of Excellence. And I want to tell you why I think that's important. Those two things, the development of the scope of what we were trying to do with the Center of Excellence was prioritized by you all as a foundational piece, along with robust implementation of HB 3321. Those two things seemingly would talk to each other, right? What we're finding out with respect to HB 3321 and the financial assessment would then dictate what we want to prioritize within the scope of the Center of Excellence as we move forward with designing it over the next year. So what I hope is that Third Horizon can come and provide us information one meeting. The next meeting, we're really talking about the Center of Excellence and what we want to do to prioritize the scope of it moving into 2027. I think we would go back and forth over at least the very first few months, with some support for the other strategies happening towards the back end of the year. So the big one being education. Alana and I are in the process of developing a method for us to be a direct advisory body to ODE and their work with respect to the classroom education, as well as the rules related to substance use primary prevention and intervention plans that schools must produce. We are going to work on that while we're moving towards the HB 3321 assessment and the developing the scope for the Center of Excellence, all the while getting to a point where we have the infrastructure so that this group can be extremely or informative to ODE as they begin to have conversations with school districts about what we're working on. So that is the plan for the year. We will get to the community stuff. I think a lot of that, like our community strategies and our higher education strategies, I think a lot of the work of HB 3321 will inform where we want to prioritize that work. But given that this body has a lot to do in the next few months, we were thinking we would start there for the first 9 months of this year, and then move into those later strategies a little bit more. Do I have any questions about kind of the trajectory of what Debbie and I have talked about so far for this group? How do people, and opening up to excuse me, committee members, how do you feel about that? Yeah, Beth.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for that information. This may be too big a can of worms, but this is my question. I do a lot of work in schools with our center here at the U of O, and I know schools across the state are facing devastating budget cuts that are really impacting their ability to deliver prevention services, mental health, support for students. I mean, we are in a different context now than we were when this bill went through the legislature. And I wonder how you see that impacting our work here on this committee, especially as it relates to the Center of Excellence and the just being able to provide a resource for schools.
That's an excellent question. So I would say, and I would love Annalise's perspective on this, but I would say, first of all, I think the development of the comprehensive plan, in general, was with the thought that there are major changes happening at a federal level. So even before, I mean, even after the House Bill 3321 passed, I think the framing in folks' minds about what we wanted to get out of the House Bill 3321 assessment was informed by, we know that there are major resource challenges happening at a federal and then economically at a state and county level or a school district level. I think that Tim Rourke, who you all have worked with, is very keen on this, and in framing the analysis, will frame pieces of the financing system for comprehensive primary prevention in terms of funding sources, whether they're stable, whether they're not. What are we, especially at a local level, what are people for lack of a better term, bootstrapping together with funds that might not necessarily be earmarked for primary prevention? I think that will all go into place. And then I think there's another aspect of this, which is, what are the mutual aid partnerships that are making this all work so that if there is a sunnier day in the future, that we can make these things happen. It's not going to be that I don't want to make the House Bill 3321 assessment feel like a panacea, because it's not. It'll be a point in time, just like any of these assessments of state resources. You're very right that we're facing a very different environment than what we did with respect to um, um, prior to HB 3321 passing. But I don't want to speak for Pam or for Debbie. I think part of this is a big of some of those stable resources. Are we spending them in the most efficient way to support some of these schools? And I think that would be a big conversation that we want to have with our contractor, and our contractor would want to have with local communities. Does that help at all, Beth? I feel like I danced around your question a little bit, but I think we know, I guess, is that
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at.
I'm not sure there's a great answer, but
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah. There's just a lot to unpack there in terms of our work.
Well, and if I could tag in on that, I don't myself personally, so maybe some counties, some school districts have been approaching this in a different way. I don't think what your question, what you shared, Beth, is in any deeper, dire straits than what they were before. Um, when it gets down to the ground level and what schools are doing and what prevention, um, primary prevention has been able to network. I think the fact, and maybe this is where I'd say, let's still celebrate the passing of 3321, because now we have something in statute. We actually, even though we didn't ask for it, we're funded to be able to do just like what Wes said. So I think we were in such a deficit that the fact that you asked that question and that we have some is a huge step forward. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer and say, we couldn't get any lower, but I think and that we're having conversations with ODE, and like there is this workforce that is ready to kind of do that, but we haven't connected the dots. So I think we already have a big win, and I think what I would ask for this group and council commission members as well as any visitors that we never let prevention has never survived because of funding. It's always the primary prevention principles. And I think those connections and putting youth first and finding out how that can happen is what we stand on. And now we're just getting more connected and more people believing in that too. So keep asking those questions. I think the light is pretty bright compared to what it was. Not as bright as it will get, but money will not stop us.
Annalise, I didn't know if there was anything you want to add. We get this question a lot around just as a commission in general, the comprehensive plan in general. Yeah.
I mean, I'll just add, I think that's why we've really thought about this portion as more dynamic because it is going to be local spending that doesn't come through the state. Our state agency financial assessment is very clearly 23, 25. The books have closed, right? It is a retrospective look as opposed to, as Wes put it, very point in time. And I think across all of our committees, unfortunately, flexibility is the name of the game. And rolling with things and having Tim continuing to support us and the Third Horizon team, I think is excellent because they already know the lay of the land. They were right there with us when those SAMHSA cuts came out, right? We were there on the East Coast. So, right, talking very early in the morning, getting a spreadsheet of all the discretionary grants in the state. I think, we all have to stand firm even as the ground is shifting beneath us.
Any other questions about the trajectory of where we're going this year? Debbie, anything you want to add on where we're going this year?
No, I think we had a great first meeting with Third Horizon on some of this work that Wes mentioned. We'll keep everybody very informed in this because it is webbed into our strategic plan. So even again, we have 41 people on here, and it's just outstanding that there's that many people that are interested in this work. And again, I just think we're on very sound ground with the staff that we have that understand that passion and are pushing just right alongside us. And I think just hang on for the ride because I really do believe it's going to be a good one. So with that, do we want to go into the charter
Yes,
discussion, Wes?
I would love that. Okay, so this is like the housekeeping portion of our meeting now that we know what's going to happen. For folks who are new to this space, generally we're content full here, but sometimes we need to take a pause to like reflect back on ourselves. So we need to do that at the beginning of the year. I'm gonna pull up the charter, and it was sent out to you all before. And I want to just share two things that I think that want to call your attention to. I'll walk through it really quickly. Um, but most of you should be familiar with this as we voted on it pretty early last year or the end of 2024. Um, so uh Section 1 is the purpose, in which we state the National Academies of Medicine definition of prevention. Um, we have an overview and function section that's been pretty standard since this committee was created. It hasn't changed much. Accountability and reporting. So this is Debbie's duty to report back to the commission and then to report commission information back to the committee, as well as mine and Annalise's role to do that and facilitate those conversations. Membership, we have I just want to make sure that folks are aware we have 6 to 16 members currently with Martin and Jessica Jacks with that transition. And then with Tony stepping down, we are at 15 members. And so we're going to work with our commissioners to see who wants to fill that other commission seat. We also have commissioners who might be coming off of the commission as they term out in the summer. So we'll need to have that conversation again. But this is pretty standard. Our statutory maximum is 16 for a committee. So, or by the bylaws rather. So that's where we are. Committee terms, no term limits, but you are reviewed every 2 years. So some of you will be coming up later in the end of the year. We'll have a conversation about whether you want to continue or not. Officers, this is a place where I would love the group to think about. We just made a change to the charter of the commission that allows for committees to more explicitly, where they were always allowed, but that more explicitly states that committees can have a co-chair to support that is elected amongst the non-commission members. So non-commissioner public member. So that would be, Beth, Pam, Shauna, anyone who's not wearing a commissioner hat as well could be nominated to be Debbie's co-chair for the committee. That is a decision up to the committee members whether we want to do that or not. I would love to have a discussion about that. And then if we decide that's something that we want to do, we could take a vote and then we could hold a nomination process at our next meeting. The second big piece that I wanted to make sure that folks know is that, and so that would be edits to the officer section that we would need to make if we do decide that we want to do that. The next piece is around meetings and agenda committee meetings. The one piece that I would like to highlight from the changes to the charter, the ADPC charter, is that we did add membership requirements with respect to attendance. Those are vague on purpose. Each committee has a different approach to how people show up in their own space. So that is another thing that we need to discuss today is if we want to get any more specific than what the charter is, which is that folks attend and meaningfully participate to define, left up to the definition of the committee. If you want to keep it as is, we can, and then it would be a judgment call between staff, Debbie, and our ADPC leadership of if someone is not upholding their commitment to the group. Voting, we try to do Robert's rules. It's real loose, but me and Debbie kind of wing it and do Robert's rules as much as possible, but it's general simple majority for a vote. And so you'll see that our charter says the spirit of Robert's Rules of Order with a majority vote. And then approval, that's basically what we're doing. We're doing a review every 2 years as we do with these charters. And this is that review process. And so once we would have edits, we would also need to take a formal vote whether or not we want to keep the charter moving forward. So the two big questions here are, one, co-chairs. Two, do we want to further define attendance? And I'm going to leave it to the committee members first. Martin, you are in, so feel free to participate in this discussion. I will leave it open. And Debbie, I don't know if you have any other words with respect to the kind of the charter changes, but that's what I was hoping we could spend a few minutes doing.
No, thanks, Wes. And maybe if we can get back, not share the screen and get back to everybody so I can see hands popping up. Thank you. Yeah, I think let's first talk myself personally. I would, I think, appreciate having a co-chair just as far as, for scheduling and making sure we have that backup and I don't talk to myself so much and I have another person to bounce some things off from. So just so you know, I am in full support of that. And then I guess my own personal thoughts as far as requirements of members. I think I'm on some other councils, and it's a struggle sometimes to make quorum. And when some people they don't attend, I don't believe we've had a huge problem with that, but I think it just makes us a more functioning body when we have that included, and even at the very least that if you can't be there, that it's a requirement to email Wes or myself. So I think, at the very least to have that, and maybe at the most to say, if someone misses 2 meetings in a row, a call will be asked to check in to see if it still works. But this is an active body, and we need active participation. So those are my thoughts on that. I'd open the floor to council members to share your thoughts on that.
Hey Debbie, it's Louis. Yeah, in regards to the co-chair, thank you for sharing your thoughts because I would really like to see what your thoughts are for a co-chair because I think a co-chair would be someone that it would be supportive of you. It is a lot to kind of take on meeting with Wes all the time and the agendas and conversations and whatnot. So I'm in support of you. Having that help in a co-chair, I think it would be a great idea to add someone as a co-chair.
Agreed. Thank you, Luis. Darren.
I feel like Luis stole my thunder. I was just going to echo what he said. So just I know personal experience, I could relate to that, and I think having that consistency and continuity, I think it would allow us some continuity, and so yeah, full support.
Okay. Anybody see any concerns with that?
Oh, we have Martin, Debbie.
Okay, Martin's not popping out on me. So thank you, Wes. Go
No
ahead,
worries.
Martin.
Thank you. Not necessarily a concern. I'm just wondering if that role has been defined. I mean, are they, I assume they would step in for you if you're not able to make it. Is there certain other responsibilities that would come along with that role?
Great question. It is not defined. So that would be another piece that we would have to maybe draft something for you all to think about. But the concept, and maybe we can have a little bit of a conversation. It sounds like, from what I'm hearing from the remarks earlier, having a backup, having a thought partner for agenda planning and scheduling of subcommittee meetings. Those would so far I have three duties. Are there any others that you might suggest, and Martin or anyone else who would think about that? Annalise, I know we have other folks who have co-chairs.
Yeah, all that I was just going to add. So, our treatment committee has done this for, I think Mitch might be on, I think at least a year. And it's worked out really well. It's where the concept of having the committee lead, that's one of the commissioners, and then a non-commissioner lead kind of came from. It's worked out really well to have backup. I will note that, it has worked out to have the chair and the co-chair. Like we have a planning meeting with the chair once a month. And so to have that co-chair in the meeting, so it is a little bit more on your schedule, I will say, but it allows everybody to be a little bit more flexible. It helps us like start to kind of bring along more leaders too, I will say. But it's worked out really well. Recovery went ahead and elected a co-chair who I think is already getting folded into these co-chair meetings. So it's working similarly.
Thank you, Martin. Mitch, one of our other ADPC staff that helps staff the treatment committee, mentioned that it's worked out great for them. So, Wes, I am kind of making an assumption here that the group seems to think that that's a good idea. I haven't heard anybody nay um, with it. So, how would we, best way to move forward, have people uh, reach out if they're interested in that role, or how do we want to move forward and then do the voting at our next meeting?
So okay, let's take these two things at a time. I would still like to have a conversation about attendance if we can, to
Oh,
see
yes. Okay.
but if we want to close the conversation around co-chairs, I would call for a vote to draft language that I could present back to the group, and then we could finalize the language. So the concept of having a co-chair being drafted, I would love a vote for that, to move forward with drafting something for the charter, which could then be reviewed before the next meeting and then adopted as a committee next meeting.
Okay. Can I ask if someone's willing to make a motion to, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, to move forward in that direction?
I'll
Darren?
do it. I motion to move forward with the plan to have a co-chair. Are we agreeing to implementing it or exploring it? I just got to word that right.
Drafting a proposal.
Drafting a proposal for a co-chair within our charter for this committee.
I'll second
Thank
it.
you, Darren. Thank you, Pam. Motion's been made and seconded. Do we have any additional comments? Okay, I believe we're ready for a vote.
We can do this consensus voting because it sounds like we have the votes for it. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
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 Okay, anyone opposed, please raise your hand or say aye. Okay, I think we reached consensus. I don't know why Debbie's hand is still up, but she needs to put it down. Okay. Okay, so moving on to the next one, do we want to have a little bit more specifics regarding attendance requirements by members? Thoughts on that,
Can I make just a staff interjection here?
please?
So I know this is how it's worked in other committees before, and generally how we work with our young people, which I think we try to make the meetings as accessible for young people as possible. And so I think that's just a good rule of thumb for meeting accessibility for all types of committee members. Is that what we really do is encourage that folks reach out for an excuse or try to meet with me at some point to catch up. I think that is the biggest concern of this group is that implementation is going to be very fast, and I don't want people to lose. Now, life happens. You miss a couple meetings in a row. We get that. I think it's more about the makeup of that work as much as possible and the connection. So what I would propose is something along those lines. If folks are willing, not having like a hard rule on days missed or something like that, but more to the point of communicating with staff about ability to attend.
Zeb, can't hear you, Zeb. I got to see your hand.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry about that. Well, on my phone. Yeah, just I mean, looking at all the work you guys are putting in, Wes, Debbie, Annalise, the importance of regular attendance is hugely important, especially with everything that's happening going forward. And then, yeah, if life does happen, letting people know that you can't make it. I mean, I think we are all on other committees and stuff, and just the importance of keeping the ball rolling and not having to re-explain everything as we are moving forward. I think it's a necessary must. I'm sorry, I'm 100% in agreement and putting something in place for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Zeb. Anyone else? Help me, Wes, if I don't see all the hands, please.
Martin,
So are we basically looking to kind of formalize language around what you just stated, Wes,
Yep.
as far as expectation? Okay.
I think well that's one option on the table is just acknowledging that it is now in our charter around attendance requirements. So us reflecting back on the charter and maybe, creating this what I suggested, but we're open to suggestions on any way to go with this with what you all see as fit. Lindy.
I think it's great to formalize that. I'm on other committees where we've had attendance challenges too. And one of the ways that we've worked to remedy that is through proxies. If you're unable to attend, that you make your best attempt to find a proxy and that you inform the chair or the co-chair that who's coming. So hopefully that they're not surprised by that. And then just that they're adequately prepared. Like you've met with your proxy to let them know what this group is about, what's on the agenda. I think that could be an option to explore.
So we do have a no proxies policy across all the committees, unfortunately. So that wouldn't work necessarily. However, like we could say, you can send somebody to participate, but they wouldn't be able to vote in your stead. I think that would be the piece. Lindy, sorry about that, but I just want to make sure that that's clear across. It's right now it is in our charter that we're not allowed to have proxies.
Would it be possible to just have them? I mean, we're not going to always have a voting decision. Can they be sent in place for like participation, or is that kind of like a no go?
I think it would just kind of be anybody can come to these meetings, right? They're public meetings, so like anybody from your organization could come to the meeting. It would be whether they would be able to take part in the the committee portion of the deliberation. I think that starts to get into official business. I would guess, especially if there is a quorum enough to vote.
Yeah, I personally, I think I understand where you're coming from, Lindy. I think if it comes to the point where it's like you can't make the meetings, then, communicating that and helping us know, okay, what's the next best thing. But I'm I think this just helps us kind of solidify communication with people and being able to do the work. And when you sign on for this, that making that commitment for that minimum 2 years. So I think it's kind of important that we stick with that. And again, this is just my opinion. I'm not interested in changing charters for that because we can say, hey, I can't be here, but I'd like someone else to listen in for me, and they could just share the notes. And our staff too does a wonderful job of providing the minutes afterwards. And I know Wes has also been great about saying, hey, we've had one council member that had a scheduling conflict, reached out and said, I probably might miss a few meetings. And Wes has said, hey, no problem. I'll meet with you one-on-one to keep you up. We can make those things happen.
I think the only other thing, Lindy, just to be responsive to what you're suggesting is like I want people's voice to be heard in the conversation. I think one of the ways that we have treated that in the past, and I would say of all the committees I've ever staffed, you all are great about this. When you tell me when you can't come, I then ask you if you have thoughts on the specific thing, and I'm happy to read those thoughts out at the beginning of a conversation. It's not as kind of back and forth, but at least it gets your point across for a specific agenda item, should that be the conversation as opposed to a proxy. So that's something that we could formalize, but I'm open.
Thanks, Lindy. Pam.
Wes, the example you described, do you find that the people, like if the suggestion is, okay, you're not going to be there, so now they'll make an appointment with you. Do you find that works? Do they show up for that?
Almost 100% of the time, I would say.
Okay.
Like, so 95% of the time. And if it's, something that's like we need a review and we are asking for a vote, 100% of the time, if I ask, hey, could you just give me your sense on how you would feel about this and how you would vote on it? So an example is at the end of our process to create the comprehensive plan. If you'll recall, before the vote, I read off committee members who were unable to be there for the final vote. I read off their position on where we were. Folks generally respond to that very well, as a whole.
Okay. Because I think that, I mean, that sounds like a good option.
Yeah, and this has been a different experience for me because of other maybe local and statewide councils that I've participated in. I have never had the chance to have such a responsive staff. And what Wes is saying, and I'll throw my hat in the ring too, that, if I can support him, if there's some people, again, you've been selected for a specific reason and purpose, and we want to make it so this is still engaging for you. You feel like you are valued and your input is important. And I think this is as much about us helping you stay engaged and not just feeling on another council because it's a rubber stamp or this is not. This is the move and groove and council.
I did want to recognize our new member, Jessica Jax, is here. And before we take a vote on what we want to do next, I wanted her to be able to vote. So I wanted her to introduce herself. Hey, Jessica, can you introduce yourself for the folks?
Sure. Can you hear me? I've been
Yes.
having audio issues all week. Thank you. I am so excited to be here. I am Jessica Jax. I know many of you. I, for a long time, have been in the prevention world in Oregon and believe deeply in it. So I'm really happy to be a part of this group. I currently serve as the program manager for our prevention and health promotion section in Deschutes County, and that lives in the public health department. And I know you all had Jess Nyworth before myself, and and then Julie Spackman before Jess. Julie is in Alaska and sounds like doing really well, and Jess is still here, so happy to have her still a part of the Oregon prevention landscape. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Welcome. Wes, do we need to do anything formal, uh, like similar to what we did with the co-chair? Do you need a vote on moving forward with charter language for requirements or?
So let me just repeat back and let's get a preliminary temperature check, because I think we had a little bit of the conversation with co-chairs was a little bit more straightforward. This is kind of a little all over the place for kind of like what it is we would write. So this is what I'm hearing. Is that we would draft something to recognize and formalize the processes of communicating with staff when you cannot be here, as kind of our attendance policy. If people feel okay with that, if I could just get a thumbs up, and then maybe we could call for a vote for a draft language. Just thumbs. All right, that's enough thumbs for me. Okay, so if we could get a motion on draft language, that would be awesome. Ooh,
This is where you come off mute.
I'll make
Who's
a
going to do it?
motion to formalize language around attendance expectations.
Awesome. Thank you, Martin. Do we have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second. Oh,
Okay. Oh, I'm going to give Louise, just so we have that. Pam got the one before. So it has been, a motion's been made and seconded. Any additional comments, please? Okay, with that, I'd like to, we're going to move forward with a consensus. So all in favor, please indicate by verbal or Zoom hand. Okay. Any opposed? Just think some of you like emojis. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Some great work. Now I think it's kind of exciting point, and we're a little bit behind, but we still do have good 20 minutes. And Wes, I'm going to lean on you. Alexis, or did you have a question or still voting? Okay, sorry. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody because I missed Martin on that one, so I'm trying to train my eyes better. Um, the report that was part of our meeting materials from Third Horizon. Wes, could you give us some kind of guidance on how we want to proceed for the next 2 minutes discussing this?
Yes. Thanks, Debbie. So as you recall, and I think this was brought up towards the end of our group, the Northwest PTTC, along with their ROTAC collaborative, and I'm struggling to remember what ROTAC stands for, but I think it's Rural Opioid Technical something Center. It's related to Northwest PTTC, and they share staff. They had some financing to support some assessment work at the end of last year. They were willing to support us as we developed our comprehensive plan and knew one of the things that we were interested in is the concept of Center for Excellence. So, with this funding, they were able to fund Third Horizon to perform some key informant interviews as well as a national landscape of Center of Excellence models that exist, what the type of TA was happening in Oregon, whether it corresponded with the needs of what the committee was starting to identify through the comprehensive plan. That's what this report summarizes. What I'm hoping that this group can do is take a few moments, flag specific sections where you would like if you have additional questions, so that we can provide them to Third Horizon. They will be presenting on this next month, more formally. And so we're hoping to anticipate those questions early so they can speak to what you want to hear sooner. Again, this is all part of the process of us scoping what we want to see for Oregon's Center of Excellence, who will do the work, how we are going to finance it, and finally, like what we're going to prioritize. Because if you think about it, and to Beth's point earlier, we don't face the brightest financing future. So we need to prioritize what we want to do first, the target audience for this center, and then expand out to dream state. So this gives you a sense of what's happening, and we would love to take a few minutes. If you've had an opportunity to read it beforehand, that's awesome. If you don't, like, just make sure that you familiarize yourself with it before our next meeting when they're going to be formally presenting.
Thanks, Wes. I know it's kind of lengthy. I just finished reading it this morning. I definitely have some thoughts. You've already answered one of my questions, Wes, where it says prepared for Washington State University. So it was like, okay, was that a blip? Because I figured it was prepared for us, but that's because of the RTAC.
They are the funder, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. That helped me understand that. I do not want to monopolize this conversation. I want to definitely give uh, council members the opportunity to, if they've had a chance, if not, please take that time and just like when we were doing our strategic plan, provide that insight, your thoughts, no matter what they are. This is the work we do. It's okay to talk about the uncomfortable because we want to get it right. And can share that with Wes or myself, or both. And but if any of you have had the chance to take a look at it, okay, Martin is asking for maybe potentially is it possible to get a link in the chat?
It is attached to the meeting invite. I will email it out again for everybody. Just make sure they have it.
Anybody else before I kind of share? And I don't want to persuade anyone a certain way, but I definitely had specific questions on mine or thought process. But I want to open it up to others first. Okay. I promise not to take the whole 20 minutes. But one of my first kind of thoughts about this, and within the document itself, it interchanges terms such as substance use disorder, preventing substance use disorder, preventing um, substance use misuse, primary prevention. Do we feel like the scope of this Center for Excellence, or whatever we're going to end up calling it, does it need to be narrowed down to, hey, we're really standing on that primary prevention? Because that's kind of what 3321 was kind of about, even with our definition that we read before every meeting. Or does this group see, hey, it's okay to be, because I feel like this document is more broad than what I first envisioned. So I would just put that thought in your head as you're reading through that. That was just some inconsistencies that I felt that I wanted to bring up to the group. I appreciated the comments on that they mentioned about the tribes. I feel like we have still in Oregon, within how the tribes have been doing their work, a model that we could look into even more. I think when some of the changes, as far as when we went away from addictions and mental health, we kind of had, in my opinion, something a little bit kind of similar to a coordinated. I don't know if it was a Center for Excellence, but we had a body that was kind of over this, and there was much more of a, I think, a singular look at primary prevention for substance use. When there was the move, I feel like my opinion, we've lost a lot of that. So we're just kind of thrown in with things. I think, so that'd be something too. I really want us to look at this document and think about not so much of who's going to do it, but how do we get that coordination? So just to give you a little bit of backup history, you'll see initials when it says like the prevention technical PTTC, prevention technical transfer system. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Those of you that hang out with the PTTC stuff, we're within a region that encompasses Oregon, Washington, and Alaska, and a little bit of Idaho, I believe, too. And that's through, I believe, CSAP's federal funding, and they do a lot of technical assistance for us. And right now, that's based out of the newest one is out of Washington State University. We used to be with the U of W, but now it's Washington State University. They provide a lot of technical assistance. So there is kind of that. The block grant funding goes through public health within the health promotion, chronic disease prevention. Chronic disease prevention can be everything from diabetes to HIV, everything in between. It's much broader. So Oregon's current system right now, over the last 12 to 15 years, for whatever the reason, has become more segmented. I believe Tony Biglin, who was a member of this subcommittee and a member of ADPC, this was something that he's really kind of had a dream, is how do we uplift primary prevention? And we all might have different definitions of that also. So that was the lens I took this through, what helped me kind of think about, how do we want to move this forward? If you haven't had a chance to read it, no problem. Please do, and within the next maybe 2-3 weeks, send that input to Wes or myself, or both again, and we'll come back and maybe that can be a real robust discussion in February. Does that sound right about Wes? Plus, we'll have Tim here.
Yep. Yeah, the more robust question and answer and dialogue with Third Horizon will happen in February.
Okay. So,
So I just want to make sure that I got some of your questions, Debbie, and maybe
okay.
see if that resonates with the group. So the first question was kind of around scope because of the interchanging of language within the document. It's thinking about how this would apply to how do we create the scope for the center of excellence that we envisioned in the comprehensive plan. Are we limited to primary prevention of substance use, or are we thinking about other substance use related harm, substance misuse, those types of things? And are we really leading with that HB 3321 definition in creating that center? The second is appreciating kind of the singular leadership model of like state leadership with respect to evidence-based primary prevention. How do we make that happen? How do we learn from how our tribal partners have made that happen over the course of the last, since 2015, when we've made these changes at a state level of how we finance these things? And then finally, not necessarily who does it, but how do we get to the level of coordination to make it effective? And so I think those are really great questions. I will add, I asked a question back to Third Horizon when they submitted me this report. It was like, do we miss anything? Does anybody have all of this stuff? And the answer is no. So I think it's really important that you all are on the right track. Just so you all know, like the strategy itself is in the right vein, and we are going to have to create, or at least coordinate partners to create in the aggregate. But this is going to definitely lead to a scope. So just wanted to offer that.
Thank you. If you could just always be in my pocket, Wes, you'd save me so much time summarizing. This is what Debbie wants to say, what she means, and it would be easier for all of you. I think with that, and you kind of said this a little bit earlier too, that as we move forward with the inventory, the accounting, where's the money going, this type of thing, that will, as you mentioned, will really work well together. We'll be able to see some gaps. Who can do that? I think, there's the Oregon Coalition of Prevention Professionals that's doing some work, finding where all this fits and how can it work together. I just really don't want us to get hung up initially on who's going to do it and how much is it going to cost. So that's my only hope, that we'll kind of filter that out as we're dreaming. And in the examples that they shared, I did not see anything of what I thought and hoped Oregon was going to work towards implementation. So I think that's a chance for all of you to be able to be a huge part of something new. Any other comments, please? Caroline, please.
Sorry about that. I moved my screen and my laptop and I didn't adjust it with the arrow. So that's what I've been having trouble with. Yeah, I agree with you, Debbie. But I think, I've been on so many interviews, Measure 110, and I don't know. I don't know if I talked with them or not. But anytime, because the state of Oregon is one of 4 states, back in 24, was it 24? Yes, that we are actually part of the 1115 waiver in terms of travel-based practice being recognized in the state of Oregon. And so anytime they say evidence-based practice, it should be / travel-based practices too, because it is within our state. And so I noticed on page 4, it didn't do that. And I do know over the years, we had to change the language in the Oregon administration rule. Every time they said evidence-based practice, it's supposed to be travel-based practices to make sure that we were consistent. So then on page, I think I marked it somewhere. I think on page 10, when it talks about the data evaluation and evidence-based practice, that we include that too. And then on page 8, when they talked about the tribal and culture grounded prevention, that might be another opportunity for them to maybe talk about how Oregon is one of 4 states that is allowed to do tribal-based practices. And actually, for billing process purposes, we're probably going to be one of the few so far in working with this demonstration project where we're going to actually be able to bill Center Medicaid services, Medicaid participants, which is totally unheard of. Because when we look at the future in terms of revenue coming in, we have never been able to get reimbursed for prevention. But yet the tribes are going to. So far, the only tribe that's made it that far is Klamath tribe, and we have all our paperwork in already now to start billing for our travel-based practices for prevention participants. And so I think we might be opening up the door. I don't know if the Center Medicaid is going to go to that extent, but the tribes are taking the lead and getting reimbursed. And so it might be an answer, I don't know, again, to get a 1115 waiver. We've been trying for years with travel-based practices, probably for about 10 years, and we finally got our foot in the door. And so I don't know, we might be able to open up that door in the future for all other prevention practices. Of course, the tribe, we have a whole process, so you can't just say, oh, I'm going to do a tribal-based practice, so let me teach it and get reimbursed. It's a lot more restrictive than that. I mean, we actually have to have what we call traditional keepers, and they have to be pretty well in the system within the state. So they, in other words, they have to be verified that they can't actually do this practice. And then we have our own code in order to bill, just like the treatment folks have, doctors, physicians, they have, codes to get reimbursed for Medicaid. So I think we could expand on some of those things. I might have to talk with Tim, maybe a little bit more direct. Maybe I should do that.
Yep. I think that's a great idea, Caroline, and I'll make sure that connection's made. But we will make sure that not only noting for the Center of Excellence, but maybe for the HB 3321 financing discussion, that we are recognizing the financing mechanism for tribal-based practices and how we came to that 1115 waiver.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great insight, Caroline. Anyone else?
Hi, Debbie. This is Elvina with Third Horizon. Caroline, thank you so much for your thoughtful feedback. I was taking note of everything that you shared, and I'll be sure to relay that to Tim. He couldn't be here today, and then we can find a time to connect for sure, Caroline. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Alvina.
Thank you.
So it sounds like this is going to be kind of a homework assignment for the next week or two. So I would ask and again, I'm putting the world through Debbie's lens. If I have a deadline, I think I do a little bit better. So maybe if you could, within the next 2 weeks, give yourself a chance to look over this. Please mark it up, highlight it. Any little flash of insight, put it down in the margins. This is such a great opportunity for us. So it's great to think out of the box, learn from the past so we can move forward. This is not meant to be disparaging about anything that's happened in the past. It's like, how do we move forward? So through that lens, again, like I said, you've been asked to be a part of this council, not because we're all doing the exact same work, but you represent a different and very key population that we need to hear from. So please, we want to hear from you. This is a pretty big deal moving forward, and it will guide us in our work going forward. We're at the time for public comment. Do we want to have people sign up first with you, Wes, or do we want to do this?
I put a note in there for folks to sign up. No one's signed up so far. I did want to recognize Lindy. And I did what I missed this on our update for HB 3321. The last part of HB 3321 asks us to work with OHSU to perform echoes related to substance use disorder and particularly around adolescents. So this was part of the OYAS recommendation and joint recommendation with you all. I'm just happy to report that they launched their school-based prevention and early intervention, and I will say prevention's more secondary and tertiary. Just make sure that we're all on level set. Uh, um, Echo 115 folks signed up, 83 showed up, and it's from schools and preventionists all over the state. So I just want to say, not only in this room are folks excited about the future. I think we have a lot of schools and school partners and preventionists who are eager to help. And I think over time, what we're hoping with OHSU is as we get more concrete about the Center of Excellence in particular, that they are supporting them with that echo going forward. That's a couple years down the road, but I just wanted to let y'all know about the engagement of that work. Sorry, Lindy, go ahead.
Great.
I just want to make sure I've got my notes correct that in 2 weeks, you would like us to have reviewed the Third Horizon report and then send any feedback in the form of bullet points or to you all?
I think it's feedback, but more questions, right? Like I think what
Okay.
we want to do is like, they giving you the lay of the land. If you have specific questions about what's in there, I think that's great. I think there will be, if there are specific feedback like Caroline provided for tribal-based practices, we can take that as well. But I think most importantly is like asking them the questions and getting those questions in front of them before they come and present so they can be as responsive to you all as possible.
Okay, that's really
So,
helpful. Thank you.
yeah, that's a good question, Lindy, because I want to go back because I definitely, have some questions, but because of some of the statements, I should put them in the form of a question
I have them as
instead
questions,
of,
Debbie. I wrote them down as questions, so
okay,
you don't have to worry. Like,
okay.
I think.
I only gave you the highlights. I got a
Oh,
whole
okay. Well,
lot
yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah. Send me all your questions. I think the
Okay.
questions in commentary, right? It's not just about the report. It's about it. This is a process of scoping for us, right? So this is going to help
Okay.
us have that conversation in future meetings about what we want to see and what we want to see first. So any commentary and questions is good. It doesn't have to be in the form of a question, Debbie. If you just have a thought, I'm happy to take it. So, yeah, in 2 weeks, if everybody could send me some stuff and I can share with Third Horizon, that would be awesome.
I just want to make sure I wasn't having to get ready for a Jeopardy game or something like that. So with that, is this link and these materials only going out to council members? Can this go out to general public?
It's everybody who's on the email list. So
Okay.
that includes general public folks.
So that's an extended invitation to those of you who are not voting member. Yes, Julie's already, I love it, already getting down there, putting things in. Lee, Deborah, yes, all of you that I brag when we get to our big meetings, the ADPC meetings, about, hey, does anyone else have 40 plus people attending their meetings? So I brag about you guys all the time. So please provide that. It's welcomed, it's necessary. Any other public comment? It can be something again that maybe we haven't talked about, but that is on your mind. This is your time, and we sure want to make sure you have a chance um, to inform us. Okay, thanks you, Deborah. I think Wes, you got that. We're going to add Deborah from Lines for Life on our listserv. Okay, you're kind of a quiet group. So with that, we'll give you 5 minute longer lunch, and really appreciate yourself. Lori Shaw, I want to make sure I'm there too. Thank you, Lori. Wes will get that down in the chat. Thank you everyone for being here, and I'll wish you a happy Oregon's birthday on February 14th before we all meet again. Stay safe and warm, and thank you again so much.
Thanks, everybody.